Oh, can you believe it? We have finally arrived. That's right. After 5 months, after 19 games for both teams, after both teams were the number one seeds, after both teams have a man named Kelsey on the roster, we have arrived at Super Bowl Sunday. In exactly 1 hour, they will kick it off. We'll find out who the next Super Bowl champion is going to be. But here in the Early Edge universe, we've got tons of best bets. We've got tons of last-second insight from the best minds in the NFL. Let's not waste any time. Let's bring in the stars of the show. Because when I say we have the very best, look at what I have at my fingertips. This is an embarrassment of riches. First and foremost, he's been here since day one, so he gets to be introduced first. Maestro Larry Hartstein, we were together all week in Phoenix, and right back here ready for game time. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. That was a ton of fun, and this is going to be a ton of fun. What a crew we've got. Let's go.
And he is in charge of the NFL, everything at SportsLine. He is the stoic one, RJ White. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thoughts and prayers to the people in Philadelphia right now dealing with a Comcast outage, from what I understand. Supposed to be up by 6. I'm not sure if that's still going on, but hopefully you guys can see the game.
I would hate for that to happen, but a natural segue would be go to the next man who is a Philadelphia Eagles fan. He's glad he's not in Philly right now. He is Prop Stars. Alex, good afternoon.
We are safe and sound in parts unknown. No Comcast outage here. We've got Goose over my shoulder. We've got the Eagles about to play and hopefully win a Super Bowl.
The key word there, hopefully. Next, he is live from Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, the penthouse level. He is M Squared. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Coach. Happy Super Bowl Sunday to everybody. Cannot wait for this game. Let the hot takes fly the rest of the show, and I can't wait for it. Let's get into it.
Jay Kane in the chat said, I couldn't be less excited for the Super Bowl. I hate both teams. Yet you came to a betting show for the Super Bowl. Okay. All right. Now, next, he is also from Nashville, Tennessee, but just 8 floors below. He is our 5-tool player. AB, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Coach. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me say this. I can't imagine the nerves that the players and coaches have playing in a Super Bowl. That being said, the most nervous person at the Super Bowl tonight is the man flying the Goodyear blimp with all these UFO balloons getting shot down. That man, pray for him.
And finally, he is the counselor of cash. Oh, and the man can literally do it all. He is Sia Najat. Good afternoon, Sia.
Good afternoon. Yeah, nervous is one thing, but these two teams, they have an awful lot of swagger, and I think we're going to see some of that swag in the first quarter. I'm super excited for kickoff and everything beyond.
All right, so here's what we're going to do, because if you've been watching the Early Edge the last couple of weeks, we've been giving out plays all the way along. So we're just going to arbitrarily throw the best bets up there. We're not going to go through them all. It's up to you to take a look. We're going to talk about the game, the totals, the props, the bets, all of that kind of stuff. But we're not going to go through every single pick. All right? But, RJ, I know you have 3 new picks for today. So I'm going to start with you. You give those out, then we will keep it moving. You're up first.
Sure. To start with the easy one, money line, Eagles, -112 at FanDuel right now. Their latest I saw, we talked all week about it being -125. I like the Hurts MVP when it was -125. And I thought wanted to go on the Eagles money line. Wait till Sunday, wait till closer to kickoff, because people like to bet on the underdog to win the money line, just to win the game outright, and the favorite to cover. And so this money line's got a little out of whack. It's still 1.5 in a lot of places. So to be able to get -112 in the money line, I think is good value. I have the Eagles money line there. I have first quarter under 10 points, -126 at FanDuel. 3 Super Bowls with more than 10 points in the first quarter of this century. Philly, New England, 2018, Green Bay, Pittsburgh in 2011, Indy, Chicago in 2007. Now, it doesn't happen very often. And not sure with both quarterbacks recovering from serious injury, we get a shootout early anyway, especially with some good pass rushes here. I know we're not that worried about Mahomes, judging by how he's looked in the pregame and all that. But with these good defenses and just historically, 10 points, you don't exceed 10 points very often. I like betting the under on 10 points. Then I like jersey number of the first touchdown score over 11.5 +105 at DK. It's juice to the under, where you get big names: Hurts, Brown, Smith, Pacheco, McKinnon, top 2 Kansas City receivers. But even if Philly scores first, 1 through 11 had 57.8 of their touchdowns in the regular season. That's right at the break-even rate for the -135 number you have to lay to do the under. Kansas City touchdowns far more weighted to the over with 11.5, with Kelsey there, obviously. 35.6% is what their over is there. So you combine the 1 through 11, you get 46.5% of the touchdowns for both teams in the regular season. happen on the under 11.5. So I like the over plus odds where you're getting the 53.5%. It just seems statistically like you're getting a very good edge there if you can get the plus odds on the over still.
There are so many additional plays you can make this year on the Super Bowl, and RJ just taught you about several of them. You got to pick and choose, but damn it, pretty cool. So he made the money line one of his bets. So let's start right there. And Mikey, I'm going to come to you because you always have a model. Tell us exactly what you think is going to happen when it comes to the money line and the spread. What does the lab tell you?
Yeah, it's basically efficient where it is. I could not make the game any closer at this point. You know, assuming Patrick Mahomes is 90 to 95% healthy, I'm assuming the same on Jalen Hurts. I don't think either quarterback is truly 100% here. Look, I think the number in the game, the total should be 49. I think the game should be a pick 'em across the board. So if I had to pick one of the two, it's going to be the Kansas City lean. Just based off what I've seen from Patrick Mahomes, I think that having him at full strength is certainly going to be key, and Andy Reid's coaching playbook. So that's where I lean in the game. And as far as not to the total yet, but slightly on the under in the total.
I gave it out on the morning show today. My connection in Kansas City said that if he was to put a percentage on Patrick Mahomes and his health, he would say 90% healthy, which I think is a pretty good number. So Mikey is on the Chiefs. Maestro, let me come to you because I know you're on the Eagles side, but I want to know why, because this show is about information. That's what it's all about. Why do you like the Eagles?
Well, it's not because the flu bug was going around the Chiefs this week, which I know a lot of people are talking about. For me, it's just this running attack is something the Chiefs have not seen. They have not faced a top 10 rushing game all season. Now they're facing a historically efficient run game that I think is going to be a big shock to the system. And I just like that Eagles opportunistic defense with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back in the lineup, Avonte Maddox back in the lineup. I think they're going to get a couple turnovers. I think the Chiefs are going to move the ball well, but I think a couple of turnovers are going to be the difference.
Counselor, your thoughts on the spread, sir?
Yeah, I'm wearing Eagles green partly, and I don't want to upset you, Coach, but it's partly because I like the Eagles money line too. For a lot of the reason that Maestro said, I just think just from a team total, if you look at all the position groups, I really think the Eagles are the team. And by the way, when it comes to the running game and the Kansas City Chiefs facing that, it's a two-pronged approach with the Eagles. They can really hit you with the pass and they can really hit you with the run. And the Kansas City is going to have to declare what they want to stop. And whatever they declare, I think the Eagles are able on offense to go the other direction. So I just think the Chiefs in this case are a little outmanned, quite literally.
All right. Let me come to you, AB, because you love team totals and sides and money lines. Where do you fall on the spread in this game?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm with the Eagles. I don't mind the spread at all. I would play the money line, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I'll say this. What I like is the Eagles' first half team total over 12.5 because the Eagles in 19 games this year, 16 of them, they have scored 14 points or more in the first half. This is what they do. They start fast. So when you play the Eagles first half team total over 12.5, Coach, you know what they're going to do at the pay window?
What?
They're going to pay you, baby. That's what they're going to do. They're going to pay you right there. So, yeah.
I feel like that's what I'm going to do with my Venmo tonight when it's all said and done as I come to Alex so he can give his take as the last of the six and see how fast we can make this go. Alex, I know normally you're a props guy, but when you have to, you can give a really good take on why the Eagles are going to lose. Go ahead.
Well, listen, I just think this is the most talented roster, top to bottom. We look at this pass rush, 70 sacks in the regular season, just as a ferocious defensive line. I think they're going to be getting after Mahomes, especially if his mobility is even somewhat affected. I think it's going to be a huge difference. I just look at this Eagles roster from top to bottom, and they are so deep. They are so talented, and they're pretty healthy. So I just think the Eagles are in a really good spot.
All right, very good. All right, so that is the spread. Does anybody have anything on the total? Because I think collectively as a unit, we've all been on the under the entire 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody on the over.
I have one thing, Coach, real quick.
Yep.
So with the total, all right, you're right. Nobody's playing the over. That being said, my favorite play that I'm already on is both teams to score 20 points or more in this game at minus 130. So essentially, you need 40 points, right? Now you got to have it from both teams. But if you don't want to play 51, 52 and mess around with that, I think both of these offenses are good enough to get to 20. So there's a little bit of a way to kind of skirt that 51 and drop it down.
That's a really, really smart play. It was really we did it a couple weeks ago, and I thought it worked out pretty well. And again, it can't be 38-7, but we consider this, Mikey, to be a coin flip, which means competitive game, very, very even. So that play, do you like it?
Yeah, I do. I think that the game's going to ultimately be very competitive. Even in a lower scoring game, I do expect both teams to approach so many points here. So yes, it's definitely a play that I like.
All right, it has risen up to 51. Kind of all week it was under 51, and now it got to that very, very important number of 51. If it goes over, you want to bang that under. Let's go to quarterbacks. And, Counselor, I'm starting with you, but I'm whipping around. Mahomes, we're going to start with him, 293.5. It started at 286. I gave this out on CBS Sports HQ this week when I was in Phoenix. His attempts are 39.5, completions 25.5. What kind of a game, Sia, do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to have?
Well, listen, last 2 weeks ago against Cincinnati, I had his under of 286.5, and that didn't go very well for me. So the yardage I really don't want to touch. It's actually at such an elevated level. If anything, I'd take the under. But all week I've kind of been on Patrick Mahomes' completions of 25.5. I think his passing attempts, I believe, is at 38.5. That's okay too, but I think he's going to be relatively efficient passing in the short area specifically. So I actually, of the quarterback props with Mahomes, I like his completions over 25.5.
RJ, let me come to you. What do you make of Mahomes tonight, rather?
Yeah, I'll be adventurous like Sia last time, and I lean to the under on his 293.5. I did that in my 57 picks for Super Bowl 57 column. I just think with the injuries they're dealing with, that receiver, who knows who's going to make it through the game healthy. And I believe with this Eagles secondary, like Larry was talking about, being whole for once, they're going to keep things in front of them. They're not going to give up a ton over the top, and it's going to be a game where he has to dink and dunk down the field, which he can do, but that's conducive to a lot of attempts, a lot of completions, but not a lot of yards. So I think he's going to stay under 300. And because the number's 293.5, I would lean to the under there.
Okay. Let's switch over to Jalen Hurts because Maestro and Alex, they're both on the Eagles. So, Alex, I'm coming to you first, then Maestro to you next, then AB. Hurts' numbers are 241.5, 31.5, 21.5, and he's done a lot more this season until recently, Alex, with his legs. What do you think is going to be the method of approach tonight for Jalen Hurts?
I think initially we're going to see him try and attack the Chiefs down the field, see if he can hook up with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. If the passing game is clicking, they will continue taking shots down the field. If it's not, then they're going to transition to running the football, where I think they're going to have a lot of success. So I expect Hurts early to air the ball out and then to rely on his legs if the downfield passing isn't clicking.
And Maestro, you have a best bet that is connected to Jalen Hurts. What is it?
Yeah, I like Jalen Hurts over 10.5 rush attempts. They rushed him 11 times in a game where they probably could have run him 5 times last week. They rushed him 9 times against the Giants. This is a team, the Chiefs, that give up the 3rd most rushing attempts. Lanes are open, and now you take into account that Jalen Hurts is a weapon. They're going to use him, and especially if the arm accuracy is not there. They're saying that everything is fine, that he's not showing any ill effects. I just saw a report on that. But we saw that inaccuracy. So to me, that means more Jalen Hurts running. He's just so hard to account for, and there's no reason to save him right now.
But I asked you this earlier today, and a lot of people, and I've been thinking about this all day. It doesn't concern you at all that he is hurt and his shoulder, if he gets hit once, he's out. And they have nobody to back him up, really. I mean, Minshew, but come on.
They do have Minshew. I'm sure nobody wants to go to Gardner Minshew, considering they were 16-1 with Jalen Hurts playing. But the fact that they were running him late in that game, to me, shows that they're not concerned, because you had a big lead, or they're stupid, one or the other. I don't think we think the Eagles are stupid. They were running him late in a blowout, and they didn't need to run him. So apparently they were not worried that he was going to get knocked out.
AB, from a quarterback perspective, the Super Bowl no-fly zone. Is it open tonight, sir?
Not from me. And you know what? That should tell you something. Look, there have been multiple interceptions in 4 straight Super Bowls. So there's going to be an interception. That being said, I have no idea who the hell's going to throw it, because, look, these 2 quarterbacks are amazing. And if we see the Eagles from a positive game script, they're really not going to put the ball in the air all that terribly much. That being said, Patrick Mahomes, go and look. This dude does not throw picks in the playoffs. He just doesn't, man. Like, he is just accurate and all over it. So, yeah, like, somebody's going to do it. But quite frankly, I don't want to play both, and I don't want to put you in a bad spot. So be careful with that for sure.
And when there's literally 1,000 different bets that you can make, and I'm not kidding, 1,000 different bets, don't force any. Don't force any. Now, really where I think this game is going to be won and lost is by the guys who catch passes. Mikey, we're going to start with you, and I'm going all the way around because on both sides, you got studs. You got 87 for the Chiefs. You've got A.J. Brown, Devontae, and Goddard for the Eagles. And then whoever else Patrick Mahomes decides to throw the ball to. So, Mikey, when I look at you and you're targeting one or two names that could or should have a big game tonight, who are you looking at?
So on the Eagles side, it'll be Devontae Smith is who I want to target the most there. But on the Kansas City side, that's where I think it's the most interesting. For me, it's actually Juju Smith-Schuster. I like his numbers the most. These numbers are attackable, in my opinion, down to 35, 36 yards on the overall receiving yardage number. I'm not going to mess with the receptions props. I think those are mostly efficient, but I do think there's room for some wiggle room here in the yardage markets. I think that all the attention is definitely going to be on Travis Kelce. The additional attention will be on containing Kadarius Toney. Juju is the guy that I project to have the opportunity. Most importantly here is I'm also projecting a game script where we're neutral or trailing for Kansas City the majority of the way. That is where I would expect Juju to have some success in some of the more hurry up sets, whether it be before halftime or generally, with some urgency in the second half here. But I think Juju is the guy that is most attackable on the Kansas City side.
And his numbers are currently 3.5, 37.5. Which one would you attack with him?
Yardage first.
Oh, yep. Okay, very good. Now you said Devontae Smith. So, Counselor, I'm coming to you because Devontae Smith is one of your best bets. Why do you like him tonight?
It is. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and co-sign Mike McClure's bet for Juju Smith-Schuster in terms of the yardage total. Listen, he has been the target monster. It's been him and A.J. Brown. We have a condensed target share, and we've seen let's throw away the last two games because the Eagles didn't have to pass much in the second half. But prior to that, since week 9, it's basically 8 targets or more, and he is just destroying this total. It's 62.5 here against a relatively weak secondary. The 6 games prior to last game, I mean, we're seeing 67 yards, 115, 113, 126, 64. This guy's a monster. I mean, he just truly is. And I think he's going to sail over this. It's really only going to take 1 or 2 chunk plays for him to get there. So if he gets 4 catches, and by the way, his prop on receptions, I believe is 5.5 juice to the under. But even if he gets just 5, I think he sails over the 62.5. One small thing, shout out to Luke Garvey in the chat who said, when did Allen join House of Pain? That was hilarious. Had to point it out.
They're loving your chain, AB. Let's get AB's one shot just real quick. What
Yes.
are you trying to be a low-key 1995 rapper tonight or what?
I am. You know what? When it's in your blood, it's in your blood. You know what I mean?
Well, I have you here then. Why don't we talk about the other Eagles receiver? Then Alex, I'm coming to you next, and then Maestro, then RJ. So let's talk about A.J. Brown because Mikey pointed out a couple of weeks ago, when you look at his numbers, maybe that lingering leg injury is still there. Now, he's had 2 weeks, and that should have healed it up, but hamstrings are very, very difficult. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, but also the part of it is A.J. Brown is doing his job, and what his job is he makes your defense focus on him. That's why Devontae Smith is just churning folks out left and right. So A.J. Brown could have a heck of a Super Bowl and not put up many stats at all. I saw it in Nashville over and over and over that you want to double team him or you want to bracket him, cool. Somebody else is going to eat you alive underneath. And with guys like Devontae Smith or even Quez Watkins who, could take deep balls, it's a madness, man. But then if you flip it up and you're like, hey, you know what? We need to put bodies on Devontae. A.J. Brown will crush you, right? So just look out, man. Like, I think it's more of defenses coming after him to keep him low than it is an injury. And the Chiefs, man, Spags can get a little cocky. Dude, look out, man. Do not leave him single coverage.
Interesting that a man with a skull cap and a chain on calls somebody else cocky. Interesting. Now, Alex, let me come to you because some of the things that I noticed when I looked at my book and looked at other books, when you add picks, you can actually bet first half yardage totals on some of these wide receivers. A.J. Brown is 36.5 for the first half, 70.5 for the game. Would you attack any of these receivers like that?
I actually like A.J. Brown's first half total, especially considering that we know early on in the game, the Eagles will be very aggressive. They will take some shots. They will test the back end of Kansas City's defense. And in my opinion, those shots will go to either A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith down the game. I think A.J. Brown, the opinion about him would be a little bit different had he come down. He was inches away from having a 40-plus yard touchdown pass just 2 weeks ago. So I think he's maybe a little bit less than 100%, but he's still with the 2 weeks going to make some big splash plays in this game. Certainly an advantageous matchup against the Chiefs too. They bleed a ton of production to opposing number 1 wide receivers. So I could see a big game from A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I unfortunately agree with you, but they also don't cover the middle of the field. And Maestro, you and I were in Phoenix. We talked about this, that maybe perhaps this would be a game for one Dallas Goedert on one side. And I think Travis Kelce will have a big game on the other. Who has the bigger game in your mind?
Well, I think Travis Kelce is going to have the bigger game just because he is the main man, and the Eagles have, I think, better secondary targets beyond Goddard. But I think the thing about A.J. Brown is, yeah, he is a mismatch, and the Chiefs will play press coverage, and he can destroy that. But since Jalen Hurts got hurt, he is not throwing to the right side of the field. He's mainly throwing to the left side, which is where Devontae Smith usually lines up. So that's got to be a warning flag if you're in the A.J. Brown camp. But I'm with you, Coach. I really love Goddard. The Chiefs really struggle defending the middle of the field, and they also don't give up a lot of explosive plays. They have a pretty good pass rush, which means shorter, quicker throws underneath. Hopefully those go to Goddard.
Yeah, right now his number just went up to 5 today, and it's juiced to the under, plus 153 for the over. 4.5 is a big difference than 5, but that's where it sits right now. And RJ, I'm going to come to you because I'm looking at your best bets for the whole 2-week span. You have Jalen Hurts over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts MVP. If he's going to get that, who is he going to complete the touchdown passes to?
He could complete it to a lot of people. Goddard, a running back. They can get the running backs involved. Devontae Smith, talking about sending to the left side of the field. I mean, there's lots of guys. That's why I like him for MVP, because they could spread it around to a lot of different people. And I don't really see an offensive player on the Eagles, even their running back, because I don't think these running backs are going to take the mantle of putting up a huge statistical day when they have to spread it around a little game. While in the passing game, Boston Scott gets some touchdowns we'll talk about later. So I don't think Sanders is in line for a huge game just because they spread it out a little more. And I think if the Eagles are winning, Hurts at plus 125 is going to be the way to go. I think over 1.5 passing touchdowns, there's just too much value there. I think the Chiefs are going to be prepared to play the run. They just know the Eagles are going to come in there trying to run the ball. The Eagles are a very good first half passing team, very efficient first half passing team in the regular season. Then they get the second half lead and they sit on it. So their numbers might not be that good overall. But if this is going to be a competitive game where they have to be in that first half mode the entire game, I think he could have a good game, strike early, get a touchdown pass in the first quarter, then only need one the rest of the way.
So just now, the Fox pregame show showed the 2 luckiest females that are in the stadium today. Does anybody know who I'm talking about? The 2 luckiest females in the stadium today. Anyone?
Kelsey's mom, maybe.
That she's lucky too, but there's going to be a lot of negative emotion there with positive. Mikey, you got an answer?
I will say Patrick Mahomes' wife and Gracie Hunt, the Chiefs' daughter owner.
No, it's his wife and his daughter.
Okay.
His wife and his daughter. So you're really, really close. Oh, it grinds me. She'll never have to do anything in her whole life. God bless you, young lady. God bless you. Now, we have to move on just a little bit because it's 5 until the top of the hour. We're not going to go all the way to 6:30. We're going to hand it off to CBS Sports HQ, but we still have several more things that we need to talk about. We talked about wide receivers. We talked about quarterbacks, but I need a little stop for a little DFS. So, Counselor Mikey, I'm coming to you because in the chat, somebody said, I've got a lot of Quez Watkins in my DFS for the Super Bowl. First of all, Mikey, how popular is DFS for the Super Bowl? Because I don't play a lot of fantasy, but I know how big it is. How big is it for this game?
It is massive. They're, probably $15 to $20 million guaranteed in prize pools, multiple million to first place contests. So yeah, a lot of money out there. Got a lot invested myself here. Definitely my biggest source of action on the game by far. As far as Quez Watkins, significantly more necessary on DK than FanDuel, but definitely a piece that I have that makes the rest of your lineup work for sure.
Okay. Counselor, when you look at the DFS side of tonight's game, what were some of the things that you found?
Well, I mean, I think what you're going to find is a lot of people playing the quarterbacks, which makes a ton of sense. And those guys are going to be scoring probably the most points. Of course, that's Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. I think the question you have to ask yourself when you're making lineups is, how do I get different? Sometimes you get different at the, quote, flex positions, but other times you get different at the captain. And Mike and I do a show, of course, where we broke down different captains like, Devontae Smith, who we've talked about, Dallas Goedert, who we've talked about, Juju Smith-Schuster, very different, very contrarian, but they allow you to do certain things with your lineup, which include getting guys in your lineup like both quarterbacks and, let's say, a Travis Kelce, for example. So there are ways to make your lineup and include everybody you want to include, but have a captain that's different. Just make sure you think of what game script you're actually going with, because the game script has to be right with all 6 of the players that you're rostering in DraftKings, for example.
Or if you are a SportsLine member, look who's in the chat. The boss, Noah Stanley, is there, and he tells you that the most popular article at SportsLine right now is Mikey's DFS article. If you're a member, you still have over 30 minutes to go check it out and set your lineups, but I would encourage you to do it very, very quickly. Now, I'm coming to you, Alex, because we haven't talked running backs. We haven't talked running backs at all. And on the Chiefs side, they had all of 42 yards on 20 carries in the AFC Championship game. I love fading Isaiah Pacheco. His number is 48.5. Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy at all. I honestly think the last week's performance was a bit of an outlier. I also like Jerick McKinnon in this matchup. I know the previous 2 games left a lot to be desired, but I really think this is the sort of game environment where we could see McKinnon heavily featured and play a big role against the Eagles, who are very susceptible to receiving running backs. McKinnon is one of the more versatile players on this Chiefs roster. Very explosive option out of the backfield, has a very versatile skill set. With 2 weeks and Andy Reid, I really think we're going to see him utilized in this game plan, getting a big discount on his receiving line, which was as high as the mid-40s just 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now you get it around 20 yards. So I really think Jerick McKinnon could make a big impact today, Coach.
All right, so you say McKinnon, Mikey, that's one of your best bets, under 5.5 rushing attempts. Tell me why.
Yeah, it's just a big number on the rushing side of it. So the only scenario I see McKinnon having 6 or more carries in this game is a scenario where Kansas City is leading by 2 scores for an extended period of time. I'm talking, mid-third quarter on, is really the scenario where he gets to 6 rushing attempts. Look, Kansas City's used the hot hand in terms of running the football every year in the postseason, including McKinnon in previous years. Pacheco is that guy right now. He's going to have more touches in the running game. McKinnon's going to be there in the passing game. Don't be surprised if you see both of them on the field together at the same time tonight as well. But I prefer McKinnon in the passing game. I want to fade the rushing attempts.
What about you, Maestro?
In terms of the running backs, I like Pacheco over receiving yards. I think he is kind of taking over the backfield. They need that explosion out of the backfield. We saw it last week, and I think McKinnon's still dealing with an ankle injury. And I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire is inactive, but I like Pacheco as a receiver.
If you waited until today, Maestro's number is 17.5. If you're going to bet that before the start of the game for Pacheco, I liked his longest catch to be over 10.5. We kind of talked about that in Phoenix 6 weeks. So let me come to you, RJ. When you're talking about running backs on the Chiefs side, do you like anything with Kadarius Toney, Pacheco, McKinnon, any of them that could run the football at all?
Well, yeah, I like Kadarius Toney rushing receiving yards. I believe it was over 34.5, because I think he could get a few carries. He's had 40 yards on 4 carries in 2 games prior to his injury, so he could be a factor there. If you remember, think all the way back to 10 a.m. and this morning's show, took Jerick McKinnon plus 5.5 receiving yards against Aaliyah Boston, points plus rebounds, saying Aaliyah Boston, tough matchup, didn't think she was going to get much higher, if at all higher than her 23.3 average in that points plus rebounds category. Well, South Carolina blew LSU out of the water, scored 80-something points. She had 14 points, 9 rebounds, right at that 23 number. So we're looking pretty good on that McKinnon plus 5.5 receiving yards. Only has to get to 17 or 18 right now, and we'll be good.
That was the one thing I didn't look at. I was like, what did she do today? But I told you on the morning show, she's not that 20-point scorer, and you knew that. You knew that. She's a complete team player when it comes to being a team player. Now,
I got another quick live sweat here going on. So Chiefs in my 57 picture Super Bowl 57 had 5 cross-sport props in there. One of them was Scotty Scheffler, 4th round score, was -1.5 against Chiefs offensive plays. I said it's Scheffler. It's the WM Open. That's what they're calling it now. He's going to go low here. I like Chiefs offensive plays getting 1.5 there, and Scheffler I believe just went to -6. So he's tracking for a 65, I believe. So I think we're looking pretty good in that one too.
Yeah, he's putting on the 18th. He's just finishing up his. He's through 17. I think that was on 17, but he's 6 under so far through today. But he has a 5-shot lead. He's going to win, and he's the defending champion. It doesn't happen often. But Scotty Scheffler, $3.6 million. It's one of those elevated events. Maestro, go.
Yeah, Caesars took a bet this afternoon, 2.2 million on the Eagles, -1.5. To me, that's the biggest bet I've seen. But there is a $1.6 million bet on the Chiefs, +3.5. That one is about -165. That better, it was at a different book, not Caesars. Those are the 2 biggest bets that I've heard of so far.
AB, I thought you weren't going to publicize your bet on the Eagles today, but clearly that just happened.
Yeah, I tried to keep it low key, but you know what, Maestro, he found out, man. You can't keep anything away from him.
Real quick, AB, we want to talk about quarterbacks running too, because we can talk all about the running backs, but Patrick Mahomes, his number tonight for the Chiefs side is 19.5. Most would say just bang the under. He's not going to run at all, but he's Patrick Mahomes. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the most difficult part for both of these quarterbacks because there is no tomorrow for either of them. And look, the first 80 yards of a field is where players get paid. The last 20 is where legacies are made, man. Like these guys are going to run the football, especially in the red zone, right? Like they're going to accumulate. Look, it's scary. It's scary to play unders on any of them. Look, I'm playing Jalen Hurts longest rush over 13.5 yards. I think he's going to be arguably the leading rusher in the game tonight for what Maestro broke down. Like this guy can run it from the red zone. He can run it all over the field. And what they do, the Eagles offense, especially early, if anybody watches Bar Rescue with John Taffer, you know, the stress test, like that's what they do. They throw it deep. They see what you're not doing. And then if you adjust deep, Jalen Hurts just eats you alive, man. Like this team is so good and so multiple. So yeah, I'd be careful playing any unders on either of these guys.
By the way, brand new season of Bar Rescue coming out in the next couple of weeks. So put that on your DVR. I love Bar Rescue.
You want to know a nugget about John Taffer?
Of course.
This man is the guy who invented Sunday Ticket that was once on DirecTV.
Oh. DirecTV is going to die now without – they're going
He's
to
a rich
die
man.
without Sunday Ticket. Yeah, clearly, because he doesn't give a damn. But, Counselor, quickly, I got to come to you because we're talking about Jalen Hurts. And all season, you and I have been talking about quarterbacks running and cashing tickets. His number, 48.5. I tend to disagree with the Maestro that he's going to be running a lot tonight. I'm leaning to the under. Your thoughts?
Yeah, there's so much speculation on the status of the shoulder. I mean, my lean would probably be with Maestro, but it's just not something I'm willing to touch. I'm actually on the other quarterback in terms of, we talked about rushing yards. A prop I've been giving out since the mega preview last Tuesday was Pat Mahomes' longest rush under 12.5 yards, which I still love. So on the Jalen Hurts side, I just think there's a little bit, it's just too speculative for me in terms of how many rush attempts he's going to get, because I agree with the sentiment that there should be a worry that he's potentially going to re-injure himself. But to Maestro's point, that was a worry last week too, and they ran him plenty.
Okay. By the way, RJ, Scheffler did finish 6 under 66. He just shot 19 under for the tournament, so he just won back-to-back. So there's your number that you got to shoot for, big boy. All right, Alex, I'm coming to you because the other guys that can run for the Eagles, let me check the notes, are named Sanders, Gainwell, Boston Scott. 58.5 for Sanders, 19.5 for Gainwell, 8.5 for Boston Scott. Give me one name that could go over that total.
Miles Sanders. Yeah, I've been attacking this guy in a variety of different ways all week long. I like his total of 58 yards that you mentioned, Coach, as high as 61.5 on some books. I like his first half total, which you can find at 26.5 on DraftKings. I like his rushing attempts, which is 13.5, all to go over. Let me give you some quick numbers on Miles Sanders on games that were decided by 10 points or less, essentially competitive games that the Eagles were in. He averaged 19 rushing attempts attempts to go along with 87 rushing yards per game. He is the guy when the games are close. You see a lot more Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott when the games get out of hand. When the games are competitive, I think we're going to see Miles Sanders. I think he's going to be a big, big part of the offense today. He's going to be the engine of this rushing attack, which was the most efficient one in the NFL this season.
All right. Yes, Maestro, go.
Yeah, it's 73% of the carries when the score is when it's a one-score game goes to Miles Sanders.
Too bad it won't be a one-score game tonight. Now, let me come back to you, RJ, because on this side of the fence, and I'll get to everybody, then we're going to do the gym and get the hell out of Dodge, because we are now 25 minutes away from kickoff and only like 15 minutes away from the national anthem. So we want to make sure you guys can hear that and see that. You don't need to be watching us at 6:30. So let me come to you, RJ, when you talk about the Eagles side of things. If they're going to be successful all season, it has not been with the arm. Jalen Hurts doesn't throw for a lot of yards. It's on the ground. What's your take?
Well, it doesn't throw for a lot of yards because they get up big in the first half, and then they sit on the ball at the second half, and it's done well for them. They win that win after win after win. Larry said 16-1 when Jalen Hurts is quarterback. So that's not going to happen here. They have one of the best the best quarterback in the league, one of the best offenses in the league on the other side of them. So they're going to have to keep scoring. They're going to have to keep throwing. That first half efficiency is going to go up. I liked Jalen Hurts to go over his pass touchdowns, like I said earlier. I think it's going to be a bigger passing day than people think because they're going to want to test the Chiefs. The narrative is all about his shoulder. And if you're going to go out there, throw it on the line, it's going to be in this game. And it's going to be early when, you've done what you need to do before the game. The pain hasn't really set in later in the day. And I think he can go and attack them early, catch them a little bit off guard with these young cornerbacks, this young secondary, and hit some plays, go downfield, get a touchdown.
All right. Very, very good. All right. Raise of hand. If you have any more takes, any more information, I have one question left for Mikey. And then we're going to get to the gym and the anytime touchdowns, which are going to be plentiful tonight. Anybody else have anything that you've got to get off your chest? Or are we going to move on? All right. Very good. Mikey, I do have a question for you because when it comes to live betting, we're all pretty good, but I think this is where you make your bread and butter. If you can enlighten the audience, please, on what you're going to be looking for tonight when it comes to live betting this game.
A couple things. If the Eagles score first, that's when I'll be looking to potentially back Kansas City, especially if it's an opening drive score. Those are the easiest scores in the game, having a scripted drive out of the locker room. Other things I'll be looking for, quick score on one side or both sides. If the first quarter scores over 10 points in this one, we'll be looking to live bet the under pretty heavily at that point. As far as numbers, I'm looking for Kansas City at 3.5, 8.5, 11.5. Those would be key entry points on betting them.
All right. Very, very good. Take that information. Knowledge is power. Educate and entertain. All right. We've talked about the spread, the total, the receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks, and we've been doing shows for 2 weeks. Damn it. If you're not ready, I don't know what to tell you. But one other thing we're going to do for you, and I want you to type in the chat if you want to participate. #Chiefs. That's all I need you to write. #Chiefs. Because if the Chiefs win tonight, you all win tonight. I've got a double showdown with Maestro, a showdown with Alex. Would anybody else like a piece of the pie? Anybody else like a little smoke? Anybody want to step up?
Let's double it.
And it looks like Sia's deliberating.
Yeah, so Alex, Alex, this is on you and Coach, but the thing is, if I have a showdown with Coach, I'm probably going to lose because that's my track record with the Coach. So I want to protect everybody else's bet. However, I'm too stubborn to say no. I like the Eagles money line. It just makes sense. Let's go, Coach.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. I got double with Maestro, I got double with Alex, and I got one with Sia. That means I'm going to win $500. I'm not going to keep it all for myself. No. And I forgot to tell you, I need #Chiefs and your Venmo because I'm going to give away 300 of the 500 that I'm going to win here tonight to 3 lucky winners because I'm not selfish, not like the Eagles backers. No, I don't hear anybody else wanting to give their money away. So that's okay. That's okay. I'm a giver. Also, if we hit this tonight, I'm going to add another $100 to it, and that is the gym. If somebody that I'm staring at right now nails the gym, first touchdown of the game, I will add another $100 to one lucky person in the chat. All right. We've been doing it all year, and we've had multiple cashes. But RJ, with all due respect to Mikey, you don't normally get to do this with us. So it's an honor to have you participate tonight. And in all likelihood, you're probably going to win. So I'm going to let you start plus 1,000 or higher. Who do you like to score the first touchdown of the game tonight?
Yeah, because I don't do it very often, you would think that I would take an easy player and try to get in, but I like my degree of difficulty here. I'm taking Boston Scott plus 2,900 to be the first touchdown. He's also plus 500 at FanDuel to score any touchdown, which I like. The odds are twice as large as Gainwell at Caesars for most of the week, but he's been a bigger red zone factor, especially lately. Touchdowns in each of the last 3 games, all in the first half, all within 10 yards of the goal line. That tells me this is a guy that is key to their red zone offense, that they are getting him involved, not just in garbage time, but in the regular flow of the offense, and that he's going to be involved in the red zone. Gainwell has 1 touchdown since November. Fluky play, 35-yard rush with 2 minutes left of a blowout. Not a place where you're typically going to score, but that's not Boston Scott. Boston Scott's scoring every week at this point. He's part of the red zone offense. Pretty steady snap rate increase the last 4 games, higher than the rest of the year. So I think he is the factor here that you want to play at plus 2,900 to be the first touchdown.
Did you all listen to that? Do you want to do that work for the first touchdown of the game? My man, educate and entertain. Now, the next to go, he invented this. This was his thing. He's the very first one to ever cash it. How many times this year did you cash this, Mikey? Twice?
Twice on the show. Yep.
2 tickets on the show, and probably several other times in his own private personal betting. But M Squared, you're up next. Who do you like?
I like Juju Smith-Schuster, the guy I'm going to continue to speculate on the Kansas City side. He's the one player whose individual talent doesn't map to the numbers available for all of his props, in my opinion. So I'm going to go Juju Smith-Schuster here. Full disclosure, I ended up playing plus 2,000. It moved from 2,200 to 2,000 before I could actually get my ticket in. So if anyone wants to call me out for winning a plus 2,000, not a plus 2,200 later, feel free to do so. I have plus 2,000 on this one.
You know there's going to be one. You know there's going to be that one person. Mike, you only got $2,000. Stop it. Just stop it. By the way, I didn't know that the lady from Abbott Elementary was singing America the Beautiful or something tonight. I didn't know she could sing like that. You guys ever watch Abbott Elementary? Do you know what I'm talking about? Probably not. Okay. Get out of sports one time, everybody. Get out of sports. Damn it. All right. Now, this man, and I know it grinds the counselor to no end, but he gave himself a new name this year. Alex, what would that name be, sir?
Drop you 3 times.
And why would that be, sir?
Because I'm the only 3-time champion this year.
Oh, which means you get to go next. What do you like, sir?
How fitting would it be, Coach, if I get my 4th cash to become the first ever 4-time Gem champion with my Eagles winning the Super Bowl? Could not have scripted something better. Let's go Dallas Goedert plus 1,200. He is one of the premier red zone tight ends in the NFL. You know, when it's within 20 yards, that's who Jalen Hurts is going to be looking at. Give me Dallas Goedert, and we can have one for the history books.
No, we don't need to have one for the history books. Not at all. Not even close to the history books. Now, there have been stories this year, and I cannot tell you if they are true or if they are false. But this next man partied like it was 1999 in the club because he was the very first, I believe, to get into the club this year. He was lonely for a while. But Larry Hartstein, Maestro, you had people come and join you. How was the club for you this year, sir?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. And, you know, almost as much fun as we had out there in Arizona at the poker room at Talking Stick. But I'm going to, Alex took my play, Dallas Goedert. He emailed in first. But so I'm going out on a limb with the Philly DST. You might think a Super Bowl never starts with a defensive touchdown, but it has happened 3 times in the last 22 years, which is 14%. And sort of a side play that I like is the first turnover to beat an interception. I think we're going to get an interception before we get a fumble, if there is even a fumble. This Eagles defense, very opportunistic, like we talked about. Everyone's back. Gardner Johnson, Maddox, could be a sack fumble, could be a pick 6. 4,100. Coach, you do not want this to happen.
The same man who, with a straight face earlier this week, gave out a defensive player to win MVP, sitting right next to me. That happened.
And you know what happened to that defensive player? And I'm not saying he's definitely going to do it. That defensive player opened 50-1 and higher, and he's down to 30-1.
That's fine because people listen to you. I told people on the set, don't listen to Maestro. So they're going to lose that bet. It just is. All right. Now, next, I believe he's got 2 tickets into the club, and the way he's dressed tonight, oh, the ladies would be coming from everywhere. He looks like a bad boy is what they're going to say. AB, you're up next.
Absolutely. Look, bad boys for life. That's how we get down. Look, 2 times in the club. We're going for the AB3 tonight to join Prop Stars there. And let me say this. If you want a parade in your town, you throw the damn ball to A.J. Brown. That's what you do. And then, look, Nick Sirianni understands that if he hits you early with an A.J. Brown touchdown, your defense is in hell for the rest of the night because you're not going to be able to play deep at the line of scrimmage, all over. You're not going to be able to do it. He's just going to put you in there. So I think that they force the ball to A.J. tonight. I'm going to take him. It's chalky, plus 1,000. But, yeah, A.J. Brown.
Do you know where they don't say it's chalky?
Pay window, baby.
You're damn right at the pay window. Now, by the way, I did not know you had a writing session last night because apparently you just got line after line after line. Everything is rhyming for you today.
Yeah, I can only read the dictionary, right? Like it's almost like prison. That's what you do. You just read the dictionary. So,
all right, now the final man that gets to go. He has so much pride and so much confidence that I know it drives him absolutely bananas that I make him wait till the last to go, which is part of the reason I do it. Counselor, you're up, big boy.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. There was a question in the chat I feel like I should answer. Joe Neuenfeld asked, how many times did Sia get into the club last year? Joe, let me answer your question for you. It was, in fact, 3. It's only going to be 2 this year, though, because, listen, AB has the right idea. He has the right game plan. I do agree that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to start out very aggressive, and that we've seen that before from them, especially against secondaries that aren't necessarily that great. The problem with AB's pick, he's just picked the wrong receiver. That's okay. It happens. It's going to be Devontae Smith plus 1,300. That will be your first touchdown score. It'll be my 2nd ticket into the club for 2023, my 5th overall.
You're such a savage. All right, so the gym is done. I'm looking at my clock. It kicks off in 12 minutes. Number 15 just ran onto the field. So it's time for us to get out of Dodge. But I'm going to give away one more $100. If you want to participate, hashtag final score and your Venmo. Instead of what's the one thing we're looking forward to. This is the Super Bowl. Tonight's all that matters. I need a final score from each and every one of you. If somebody hits it exactly, I'll give away $200. Whoever's closest, on behalf of you, I'll add $100. So potentially, what is that? $500 we could give away tonight. So, Mikey, what do you think the final score will be tonight, sir?
24-21, Kansas City.
All right. 10 seconds. Why?
The Chiefs are the better team. They're going to win. Patrick Mahomes is healthy. And, yeah, we're going to 24-21.
All right. My answer will be the same as Mikey's. Not the score, but the same answer. RJ, give me a score, big boy.
I was leaning to the under all week. Now I have 28-24 Eagles with Mahomes looking healthy. That square, KC4 at Philly 8 plus 8,000 at Caesars, one of my long shot plays for the long shots article. 41 combos have lower odds at Caesars, but digits are 4 and 6 points apart. That means the fourth quarter split passes on the field goal. You go for the touchdown when you're down 4 or 6. So I think that 4-point gap is really key, and it's really undervalued in these squares plays.
There's nobody better than RJ, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, if you missed him all year, don't miss him next year. Now, Alex, it'd be crazy to say that somebody could actually hit a perfect final score in a game. You didn't do that at all this year, did you?
I didn't, but I did last year, Coach. So we're going to go back to back.
Back to back. What did we have last year?
Last year, I believe we had 23-20 Rams. That was the final score, if I'm not mistaken. And this year, we're going to go 26-20, my Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory.
Oh, well, my Chiefs team total won't come in then, so that can't happen. Maestro, what's the score for you?
I can't believe no one's taken it. I'm going with 27-24 Eagles. Earlier, I was leaning under, but looking at both teams played a very fast pace. You also have perfect weather conditions for teams that played outdoors. Let's go 27-24.
All right. AB, talk to me.
We're going 35-34 Eagles. I think it's going to be a little bit high-scoring game tonight. We're going to see some wild things happen in terms of extra points, 2-point conversions. So it's going to be a little bit of a weird score, 35-34.
All right. I gave this out earlier on CBS Sports HQ. I'm going to stick with it. I can't believe nobody took this one. Chiefs 27, Eagles 21. Fly, Chiefs, fly. All right. M squared, RJ. I still need Sia's final score. Sia, what's yours?
Well, Rebecca O'Connor almost gave it. She had a score that was just 1 point off each way. I have 30-23 Eagles in this one.
All right. So everybody except for me and Mikey have the Chiefs. You guys have the Eagles. So I've got 5 Eagles, 2 Chiefs. Apparently, Mikey, we're the only 2 smart ones on the entire show. Apparently so. Oh, you're not smart. You're on the Eagles, Maestro.
No, I know. I was going to say the kiss of death for the Eagles was that all 4 of the Fox analysts picked the Eagles.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but most of them don't even know the game's in Phoenix. So, I mean, there's that. Come on. I mean, Terry Bradshaw, do you watch his reality show? Come on. I do. Actually, very entertaining. He's just not there anymore. All right. Still love him. All right. Gentlemen, it's been a great 5 months. We've been doing it on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Sundays, Mondays, and it all comes down to this. Are we ready for the Super Bowl? Are we ready for the Super Bowl? I believe that we are. Snake, give me my single, big boy. Fresh from Phoenix. This is the first hat, but it won't be the last. It says Super Bowl. Oh, we'll put champions on. It doesn't matter the side because the Chiefs are getting it done tonight. Damn it, I love doing this. Regardless of the outcome, we love doing this for a living. And unless all of you don't watch, we're going to keep doing it for the next 30 to 35 years. We don't care. But with all that being said, all the best bets are in. There's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Super Bowl tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, love them all. AB, our 5-tool player, the Maestro, RJ, the stoic one, the counselor, prop stars, M squared. I got everybody. Don't forget about the Snake, always behind the scenes doing the work we don't want to do. Enjoy the game tonight. You may see me after the game. Who knows? Who knows? But there's only one brand you even need to worry about. We like to call it the early edge. Good luck.